talking about it versus being about it. Mm-hmm. Look, this is kind of a clear what we prefer, right? It's kind of, it should be known. Everyone should know that it's being about it. We're not just talking about it. Right. That's what we're doing. Now, that being said, there is this idea about putting your goals out there, like publicly. You've heard this idea before, right?
Oh, yeah. Fully.
You know, you tell all your friends, I'm going to run a marathon, right, this day, or I'm starting to train, or I'm going to write a book, or whatever thing you're going to do. Mm-hmm. You tell everyone. You post about it, right?
Yeah.
And then that, you know, now you start to feel the social pressure that you told everyone. I think the problem with that is, what are the consequences? To me, the answer is there's no consequences. There's no friend that comes up to you 13 months later and it's like, hey, I thought you were running that marathon. And then what you have is you're like, yeah, you know, I was going to, but I ended up getting shin splints after 2 weeks, and then I started that new job, and it's just, I'm going to do it next year, right? It's no problem. Oh, I thought you were writing a book. Yeah, you know, I am, but I started going down, but then I got a better idea, so I'm like kind of letting that thing ferment a little bit, but I'm got a new one. So you're just lying to yourself, you're lying to your friends, and basically there's no consequences for it because you're able to lie your way out of it. My daughter was teaching jiu-jitsu class the other day.
Sure.
And this little boy, like after class, said, my father died. And just kind of randomly, my father died. And he was kind of misbehaving in class or whatever. So she thought, you know, she's thinking to herself, oh, that's so sad. And she said, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And then she's thinking, oh, you know, maybe some of his behavioral issues, maybe he's, you know, going through some stuff, he's a little emotional, whatever. And then she sees the boy walking with like a grown male. And she asks Coach Adams, she says, you know, hey, is that his uncle? Or he's like, no, that's his father. And my daughter didn't understand why this was happening. Well, it turns out that the little boy, you know, we're talking like 6 years old, told my daughter that his dad died so that he wouldn't get in trouble. The kid wouldn't get in trouble. He knew he was misbehaving, so he didn't want there's you know. Yep. So what I'm saying is people lie. That's instinctively, right? You're a 6-year-old kid, and you'd rather tell an instructor that you've known for 1 week that your father is dead than chance getting in trouble. Think about how that's what people are like. That's what kids are like. That's what people are like. So when someone asks me 13 months, say, hey, how was that marathon you were going to run in July? And I'm like, oh, actually I ended up not running it. I had shin splints. I had this. I had that. The book, same thing. So we're just going to lie. We're going to lie to everyone, and there's no consequences. And you got a little credit, right? You got a little credit.
Yeah.
When I tell you like, hey, Echo, I'm going to write a book, you're kind of like, dang, dude, Jocko's kind of getting after it. Or I say, hey, Echo, I'm going to run a marathon. You're like, well, dude, I kind of get a little credit from you, and I get a little actual reward of dopamine, because we talked about this with Huberman. Like, I get a reward of dopamine when I say, hey, Echo, I'm getting ready I'm going to run a marathon in July. That gives me a little dopamine. You get fired up. You kind of look up to me a little bit like, oh yeah, dude, Jocko's getting after it. So I get rewards from talking about it. The actual physiological rewards of dopamine hit, I get the little assurance and credit from my friends. And in the end, it doesn't matter because I'm just going to lie about it in the end anyways. So we're not talking about it. We're about it, right?
Yeah.
I noticed this too. This is a weird memory for me to have, but in SEAL training, there were some guys, like we would go to a restaurant on Saturday, right? Yeah. And this is in first phase. You don't know who's making it, but you're going to get food because the chow hall sucks, whatever. So it's a Saturday, you're going to go to get food, like some restaurant. Yeah. Some all-you-can-eat restaurant, preferably, right?
Sure.
What was that one called? Sizzler. We
Oh,
rolled down to Sizzler. It's not there anymore, but hit that buffet. You know, you bring 9 freaking young dudes to a buffet, we're getting our money's worth, boy. Yeah. But, you know, we're in there, so wherever we had a buffet, we're in there. And some guys, like a waitress would be like, oh, you need some more tea? And like, what do you guys do? You know, that kind of thing?
Yeah, fully.
Some guys would be like, we're in SEAL training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They kind of got that little dopamine
it helps.
hit.
Yeah.
Me, I wasn't even thinking about saying that.
Yeah.
And seems to me, those dudes that kind of get that little, they quit.
Really?
They didn't make it, man. They didn't make it because they got their reward.
Yeah,
they got their reward. Their reward is to be able to tell people they're in SEAL training. And I bet that after, they still tell, well, you know, I was in SEAL training. And they get a little bit of credit for that too. Yeah. And then they have whatever lie that they're going to make up. Well, I didn't make it because I had shin splints and I had this and that. That's bullshit. You quit. That's what happened. Very few guys will just say, oh, I quit because it was really hard.
It's too hard.
They lie. Yeah. And they even when they quit, they lie because they'll say, I quit because I had a girlfriend, I had this, I had that, I realized it wasn't for me. I realized that that's not the job. What SEALs do actually isn't what I want to do. They have all kinds of lies they tell themselves. Some guys are like, yo, I quit. It was super freaking hard. That's a very rare person. I respect that person. Yeah. Most people, they got to lie. So we are not talking about it. We're being about it. Here's the other thing about talking. Talking is risk-free. It's basically risk-free. You and I can sit around and plan for a marathon in 6 months. We can talk about it. We can go on a, marathon training website and like look through it and go, hey, dude, what do you think? This program seems pretty good. No, I'd rather do this program. Yep. We can come up with plans and all this stuff. There's no risk to it. There's no risk. When you take action, now we go out, we run, we can't make it, we fail to finish. Like there's a serious risk. Oh, I'm going to write a book. You write a book, you spend hours and hours and hours and hours writing a book. You send it to the publisher. They just say, yeah, this isn't good. Later. Yeah. That happens all the time, by the way. Yeah. So action takes risk. When you take action, it takes risk. It also takes discipline. Whereas talk is totally cheap, takes no discipline whatsoever. It's really free, actually. You can just say whatever you want, which is kind of pathetic. I do think I was thinking about there's a little bit of an intermediate step. Writing it down. It's a little bit of an intermediate step because you're detached from it. You have to put it on paper. You're looking at it now. Those words. Look, in 3 weeks, I don't know what I said to you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yep. And you're like, hey, didn't you say 13 months ago you were going to run a marathon? I'm like, no, I was thinking about it. Right. I told you I was thinking about it. No, I was fired up that day, but I didn't really mean it. You can just literally say I didn't really mean it. Yeah. When you write down, I am going to run a marathon on July 13th and whatever. Yeah. That's hard to back away from. That's why we have contracts and stuff, right? Yeah, man. Because, Echo and I were talking about our new business. We were going to split everything. And then I'm like, well, I wasn't going to split everything with you. No.
Yeah, I was just spitballing.
No, I was just spitballing. Yeah. The reality is, so it's the same thing. If you have to write something down, I think that's a little bit of a step. But writing things down is still a far cry from action because I've known people that make checklists every freaking day and they don't execute what's on them. Yeah. It's harder to not execute what's on them. It's easier to not execute on something you said you were going to do, right? That's pretty easy. Yeah. Pretty easy for people to go,
oh, yeah. Plenty.
I mean, I'm going to work out tomorrow morning.
Oh, yeah.
If they say that, there's an 87% chance that workout's not happening.
Sure.
Actually, there's a whole nother category here. I'm not saying anything. I'm just doing it. That's a whole nother category. Yeah. I'm not saying anything. I'm just doing it. Yeah. So you got that. And I think that's the final call here is to take action to do something. Even if you're doing something small, even if you're like, hey, I'm going to run a marathon in July. I'm starting training today by walking 1 mile, which is going to take me, how long does it take to walk 1 mile? 10 minutes? 11 minutes?
No, I don't know. It depends on how fast you walk, but I don't know. I think 12
to 15 minutes. 12 to 15 minutes. You're going to walk 1 mile today. Even if that's what you do today, even if it's a half mile because you only have 7 minutes. So you say, you know what? I'm going to run a marathon. I'm starting training today. Yeah. Not by talking about it more. Right. Not even by writing anything down. Not by reason, but I am going to start today by doing something. I'm going to make some actual action to move towards this goal. Yeah. If you don't do that, just kiss it goodbye. Yeah. So think about that. Keep that in mind. Don't talk about it. Be about it.
Yeah. And remember how I accused you a while ago? A few years ago.
What was it about?
about.
I don't remember.
Actually, this is fresh in my mind because I was talking to a friend.
Maybe I'll remember the beatdown I gave you. But
yeah, it was actually a pretty effective yet simple beatdown. But by basically when got into this argument about debate, whatever. Maybe got kind of heated, maybe it didn't. I don't know. But I said, bro, you oversimplify things. And I had my argument laid out in my head. Like, you oversimplify. I mean, there's a difference between just simplifying it and oversimplifying.
Got it, yeah.
Oversimplify means like, hey, you're leaving out some critical stuff,
right?
There's critical complexities, and then you won the debate by just looking at me and going, or am I? And I was like, you're right, because you don't oversimplify. I think the rest of us just
complicated.
Yeah, complicated. Exactly right. So anyway, this might be one of the ones that you're not over. So you're simplifying it for sure. But so there's different like talking about it, being about it. You're right on both of them or whatever. But so if you're talking about something that you're gonna do, then that's like a whole thing where people a lot of times like social accountability is kind of a helper, a little spot, right?
It can be.
Yes, exactly right.
If you're gonna lie, which you probably are, then it doesn't really matter. If you're the type of person that's gonna feel so guilty about it, like I let my friends down,
right?
You didn't even have to say anything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I feel like I don't have that much. Yeah, I don't have that much experience with that part of things where
committing to anything.
Yeah. Not publicly. Publicly, it's more of like a social. You pay a social price, right? Whether you know it or not. Like if you do it once, you say I'm going to run a marathon, and then you don't, and then they say, "Hey, I thought you were going to run that marathon. Hey, what happened with that?" And you say, "Well, I this and that." But everyone knows. Everyone feels it from you for the most part. And then even if you do that once, you did pay that price. Versus if you didn't say anything and you just didn't do it, then you don't pay any price at all. Where no one knew, no one held you accountable even this much.
Think of the reward that you got.
Yeah.
You got let's put it in dollars, right? You got like a $4 reward.
Yeah, in the moment. Yeah.
And then 13 months later,
you spend that shit.
13 months later, you get they come and take money from you because you didn't do it. Yeah. That only cost you like $2, right?
Yeah.
Because it's been 13 months and you have a couple excuses that if you just said if you said, hey, I didn't do it because I'm actually a lazy piece of shit. That's why I didn't do it. If you said that, you would actually get you probably get a little bit of extra credit. You at least owning up to it. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, you got $4 for your statement. You're only going to get charged $2. So net, you're making $2.
Yeah. Like in your own mind.
In your own mind, you're making $2. And even to that person, they're kind of like, well, it is kind of a big deal to run a marathon, and Jocko's real busy, so I can see why he probably didn't have time to do it. So everyone, your true friends are kind of on your side. Of course, there's a hater over here that's like, you said you're going to run it, you didn't do it, Paul. You see what I'm saying?
I feel like the other people's thoughts about it, usually in our minds, is it's not very relevant given the dollar analogy, because the payoff you get when you say it, like let's say it's $4, like it's like that's true. It's absolutely true. And now, until it's time to run the marathon, you're rolling with that $4 in your pocket, whatever.
Dude, I know people that have a lot of money.
A lot of that kind of
like a lot of that kind of money.
Oh yeah, but here when they ask, hey, what up with that marathon? How did that go or whatever, and then in your own mind, you're like, oh, that $4 that I had this whole time, I got to give back like $2, maybe.
Yeah, you give back $2.
You got to backpedal a little bit.
$3, yeah.
But in your mind, it's like it'll come off as a valid excuse. You think, you believe it, and it doesn't, but like you think, so you got to give back at least some of it. But at least I was on the path for a little bit, kind of a thing. Yeah. Like it kind of lasts in a way.
True, too. And then you got your friends, and then like, you got two different types of friends. Some of your friends like, yeah, of course. And they didn't really want you to run the marathon anyways, because then you make them look bad. So they're kind of like, yo, dude. And they actually, they take like 50 cents from you. They might even give you another $1. You ever see, there's people that just want to drag you down. They don't want you to do something good.
Yeah.
There's